Welcome to Read 'em and Weeb. This is episode 1 of our review and discussion of the manga Toradora. Toradora was written by Yuyuko Takamiya and known for both the light novel and manga, as well as the writing credits for the light novel Golden Time and the novels My Blood and Bones in a Flowing Galaxy. The art was done by manga artist Zekyo, and they're credited for their work on manga such as Gelatine and Arcane Henka, and Jinjika. In today's episode, we'll be going through volume 1, which covers chapters 1 through 6, as well as a special bonus chapter. This podcast is not meant to be an alternative to the actual source. We do recommend reading these on your own and coming back to avoid spoilers. These mangas are all very good, and you should not let yourself be spoiled by us dorks. Let's be honest. Anyway, right. With that being said, let's start the show.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Read 'em and Weeb. My name is Davie. This is my friend Esau, and we're doing a brand new series. We're going to be reading Toradora.
Story time.
Okay.
So, this is a Valentine special, obviously. We're going to do this throughout the whole, until we finish the series, which isn't very long.
Yeah.
It's about 11 volumes now. So, in choosing what we wanted to do for Valentine's, we actually had a different plan for Valentine's.
Mike probably can't hear you.
A different plan for Valentine's. We originally going to do the 100 Girlfriends manga. Just because this is really goofy. It's a very satirical, fun manga that does a really good spin on the harem type manga. One of my personal, like, up there in terms of garbage, but also in terms of fun. But after rereading it, I went, David's not going to like this.
I'm glad you knew.
So I gave him some alternatives. I was like, what if we read Kaguya, Love is War, or maybe something fun like Boarding School Juliet. Both of these are very good, very well-known. Not well-known. This one's well-known. This one's very good. And he was like, I'm not feeling it. So I was like, what about something more like adult? This one's about adults. And he was like, I hate adults.
No, that's not what I said.
Not what he said. He was like, I don't know about that one. And I was like, yeah, it's probably too episodic. I was like, what about My Dress Up Darling? And then I went, you know what? Probably not. I suggested that.
But then I went to Barnes & Noble, and I was like, oh, I almost picked up My Dress Up Darling. And then Esau was like, you're not going to like it. And why wouldn't I like... Oh, are they adults?
No.
Okay, I would. No, okay, I don't like it.
Anyway, so then I suggested... So I know David. I was like, you
have so much.
Yeah. I was like, I know some people David likes. I was like, he loves blood-sucking vampires. I met his ex. And then he was like crying for 20 minutes at the pizza place, so we had to drop this. Anyway, I suggested My Monster Secret and Rosario Vampire, and he turned those down. That was the whole bit.
Yeah, thanks, man.
I brought all of these for this bit.
He told me on the way here. We were driving here. Okay, also, you notice that we're not in our normal set. This isn't the new norm, at least as of right now.
We're not recording on the 11th today.
Yeah, this is a completely different place we're recording. This is not our normal setup. However, on the drive here, he was like, oh, dude, I don't normally plan bits for the episodes. I have a good one. I brought a bunch of manga. I have a great bit. You're going to love it. It's going to be so funny. I can't wait to tell you.
That was it.
I guess that was it. that was the bit.
It got his ass. This is too warm in here.
It is pretty warm in here.
And you're wearing a vest and a long sleeve? Idiot.
Yeah.
Plus, we needed some set design. So I brought a stack of manga.
You hyped up that fucking bit for like a cool 10 minutes.
Yeah. And it was worth it.
Yeah. I'm glad. Okay, I'm glad we have the 2 manga.
You know what? Do you want to stack more? Which one do you want displayed? I kind of.
Well, no. I think if we're gonna display anything, it would just be Toradora.
That's fine.
Yes, that's perfect. You got it, man.
I'm just gonna hold it. I'm gonna look through it.
Yeah. So we're gonna be covering the first 6 chapters and a bonus chapter today. So right off the bat, I'm just gonna say it. This is my favorite thing that we've read for the show already.
Oh, yeah. So David doesn't usually read. This is like David's one of his first dives into like romance type manga.
For manga specifically. Romance anything is usually my favorite, one of my favorite things. Manga specific, I didn't read any romance manga. But like movies, games, TV shows.
Porn.
I'm a sucker for it.
For romance porn?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't. I tweeted out recently. I was like, I just found out the people in porn aren't in love. I'm crying.
They are.
I think it's in my drafts actually. I might tweet that later.
Hold up. Before we go anywhere, look at this cover and tell me if there's anything weird about it. These are adults.
Just the cover.
Just the cover.
This is the cover, by the way.
It's Uzaki-chan manga.
Yeah.
Hold it at an angle.
I don't.
So it's easier to tell on this side, but her boobs are like physically like removed from the manga. You can see them; they're embossed. Are
Oh,
your eyes that bad?
yeah. No, I could see now. Now that
Yeah.
I'm holding it. Okay.
Yeah. So all the volumes are like that.
Hey, she's an adult.
She is an adult.
She's an
This
adult.
is a college-based. What you call it? I think she's 20 turning 21 or 19 turning 20. I don't remember.
Perfect.
But and then the guy she likes is 21 turning. I think he's just 21. I don't
He's
know.
like, how old is the guy she likes? 12. What the fuck? The dude, I think we've talked about this before, but I've argued with so many people on Twitter, who like support lolly shit, and I'm very much in the
In the hate.
in the
the
opinion
rightfully
where I'm
hating it?
like, you're weird. This guy with a Steins Gate profile picture argued with me for like a whole afternoon, and it was really funny because he was getting so mad, and I was just tweeting out like, you're weird, LMAO, you're weird.
In Steins Gate, they make fun of people like that. There's a character in the second series who's very small, but they make a very so they call her a legal lolly because she's an adult, but she's very small.
Mm.
But the thing is, they put her next to a child, same height, but there's a visual difference. You're like, yes, clearly she is built like an adult.
Yeah,
She is not, and it actually is a testament to the way Steins Gate characters are designed. To be
yeah.
adults.
You can draw small people with adult proportions. Like small adults exist.
What?
But drawing a baby and
Didn't you date
saying
a
that,
girl who was like 4'10"?
yeah, and she was
An adult.
she was an adult and looked like an adult. She didn't look like a baby. Like it's like when they draw babies and they're like, yeah, I've lived for thousands of years. You're still weird.
Speaking of babies who live for thousands of years, unrelated because it's like a literal 1-year-old baby, but in a manga I was reading, so I was a spider.
Yeah.
There's just a baby doing sword swings in one of the volumes. Absolutely goofy. It was like, I'm fucking done with this manga, and I just stopped reading. It was so late in the manga. I was like, I give up.
The final chapter was like the next like page. So Toradora.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We're not talking about manga.
This is my favorite of what we've read so far. As of right now, we've read the first 3 volumes. Right off the bat, I'm very engaged with the story. Like it's just really funny, like right off the bat. One thing I will say, like, that struck with me immediately from the covers and basically everything I saw is that the art is really good. Because we read another which I complained about being very empty in times, and it's very hard to pick up what's happening. I appreciate that not only are the like characters really well designed, but also the set pieces are very distinct, and he changes styles quite a bit.
He?
Or she. I actually don't know the artist.
There's a gender neutral pronoun. It's called they.
They.
I thought you of all people would know
Me of
that.
all people should know that.
Sorry if I'm ousting you on our podcast.
Yeah. No, it's fine. You dead name me every episode. So.
That's true.
The point is, the art is really well done, and they switch up the styles very, loosely, and it's just a really fun time. So I guess a quick synopsis of what the story is about. You have our 2 main characters who both are they both really like a different character. So you'll have our main character Ryuji, who really likes this one girl whose name I can't remember right now. Minori. And you have the main girl who really likes the main character's best friend.
4 Eyes.
Yeah.
I don't know his name. So I told David I was going to read each of these twice, so I can get a proper bearing on these. Did not do that. It was 3 o'clock in the morning when I finished the 3rd volume because I was watching some YouTube videos. But I remember the name. So I've actually read through portion of Toradora before, and I didn't finish it just because I was off my rom-com kick. I was on a rom-com kick for a while. And I was like, I've only read through like a volume, maybe a volume and a half. And I definitely have read through at least these first 3 volumes before because in my brain, I'm like, nah, I definitely stopped at the beach episode.
I don't know what you're referring to. So
Toradora.
yeah. I guess we haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Apparently,
Yeah.
I've read this far at least because
Yeah.
we didn't hit a beach at any point.
Yeah. What's it called? I've never seen anything from Toradora. I think I've seen one scene that was like a really well animated fight scene. And that's what I think it was. Because it just seems like this would be the story to have it. But so going into it was really fresh and it was really funny right off the bat.
Yeah.
I think the main character is really fun because you get to hear his like inner monologue a lot, and he's always kind of like being more honest than what we see on the page. So it'll be this really big like visual joke, and like because we meet the female lead for the very first time, and it's like the room has like it's like shaking and there's like a gust of wind flowing around her, and then you get his little thought box, and he's like, at least that's how I saw it in my head. Like none of this is happening, but this is how I see it. And
he gets high when he reads these. Not on anything. He just the act of reading gets him high.
I do get very high when I read for the show.
So I'm gonna go on a bit of context for the characters because David just told you who they were rather than who like what their names were rather than who they were. So Ryuji is the son of some like gangster guy, and then his mom, who I think is like a strip dancer.
She's like a bottle service girl.
Sure, whatever. He's like a nice dude. He's just a guy, but he's got like gangster eyes. He has got like he's got resting bitch face.
A menacing glare.
Yeah, he's got resting bitch face, and he has no friends except for Four Eyes and like almost Minori. On the other hand is Taiga, who is a rich girl who lives on her own in a penthouse. And she just has a bad attitude.
Yeah.
That's her.
Yeah. And we learn a little bit more about, who she is, but she lives alone in this really big apartment, and she's neighbors with Ryuji. And it's really funny because he's so like clean, and he's like very on, keeping a clean house, making food. And so that's how they kind of bond, is because he's like making her food and such. But what really ties these two together, and what we learn, like how they, come to be stuck with each other, is that Taiga makes a love letter for his best friend and accidentally puts it in his backpack.
She doesn't put shit anywhere. She puts an empty envelope in his bag that just is like, this is supposed to be a love letter. Here you go.
Yeah. And then on discovering that she did that, fails to get his backpack from him, and so she sneaks into his house in the middle of the night to kill him.
To kill him.
To kill him, which is really funny.
Yeah.
She's also like 4'11".
She's 4'10".
4'10".
That's why I specifically attacked you with that.
Yeah.
And I find that part really funny, especially because she found out where he lived. And then she literally just lives, like, this is before they realize that, by they, I mean, we realize that she lives next door. So in my mind, I'm like, wow, she traveled all this way in her pajamas just to fucking stab him with a sword that he caught, by the way. He does the ever so well-known fucking sword catch.
Yeah. But it's really funny because she like leaves his room, and then she's like, be at my house early in the morning, and he's like, I don't know where you live, and she disappears into the night. And then he wakes up one day, and she calls, next day, and she calls him. He falls asleep for years. He wakes up to her phone call, like, you're late. And he's like, I don't even know where you live. And she's like, look outside. And then they're neighbors. Their windows are right next to each other. Which is really funny because how long has she known that?
Yeah.
She
probably just realized, let's be honest. She probably just realized.
Yeah. She's probably in her room freaking out, saw him across the way, and was like, oh, good.
I can kill him.
This worked out.
So at this point, by the way, he realizes that she likes Four Eyes but he accidentally confesses that he likes Minori, her best friend.
Mhm.
One thing we forgot to establish: she's best friends with Minori.
Yes.
Um, so she's like, now I have leverage over you, so you're gonna be my fucking dog.
Which is really funny because she finds that out because it wasn't on accident. He like told her as a way to be like, "Hey, don't be embarrassed. It's fine. Look at these." And he like has a bunch of like, very like he has like CDs. He's like, "I wanted to make a playlist for a girl and I would use these songs." Or if I were to like, these are like poems that I wrote, and then she starts making fun of him. Um and then he tells her like, "Yeah, I like this person." And then now they're stuck together and like not they're both supposed to help each other out, but they're both very terrible at it. And so this first volume feels very episodic compared to the rest. But it's a lot of fun. It's a really good introduction to who these people are, and why we should be following them. I think the main character is someone who I want to succeed because he's not necessarily a bad person. Um, I'll go into why I kind of feel like these people are toxic, but that's probably going to be like in the next episode. But um, he he's very nice and he like takes care of himself. He takes care of her now, but he gained these skills because he was taking care of his mom, who is working all night, and so he cleans the house, he makes dinner, and his mom comes home, and passes out, and then feels very like dependent on him, and we get that like right away, which is really interesting. Like the mom is like,
She feels very emotionally immature.
yeah, like she's working and she's like, doing what she needs to do, but is in doing so has kind of burdened her son with like needing to kind of take care of the
Yeah,
house.
she literally cannot cook for herself. She made when Taiga tried to kill him, he made her some rice, and I think she eventually this happened several times where he makes food for Taiga, and his mom's like, "There's none for me," and she starts to cry.
And then he's like, yes, there
He's
is.
like, "I'm not stupid. I made you food."
um, which is like it.
He's very homely. I like it.
Yeah, they play it off as like a very jokey thing. I really hope that they kind of dive into the implications of him later. Um, or like his lifestyle later, because I think there are a lot of bad traits that have come from this.
Yeah,
So I hope they dive into that more because I think, talking about how his over like he's caring a little too much and he has a tendency to kind of
he's a
worry.
helicopter parent.
Yeah, he's essentially gotten these traits. They also use the mom as like a character to sexualize every time she's on screen,
In
which
panel.
every time she's on panel. Which I mean, to be fair, at least it's an adult.
Yeah.
You know?
Some of the I think she's on one of the manga volumes in the back. Not on these ones, I don't think. Not that one. Not that one. I don't know why you're there. Not that one. But like and I'm like, yeah, you clearly wanted her here for horny.
Yeah. And like she's one, again, at least she's an adult, so we're in the step in the right direction. But like, at the very least, it's not like it's just that she's like comfortable in her skin, Uh and so they're like, yeah, she just came home, fell asleep in her underwear. Um which again is weird that this is just so normal that the son's just kind of like
Desensitized to it.
desensitized to it, yeah. Because the first thing we see is like, yeah, this is me, and he's like, this is my hot mom. Because he gets kind of like he's like, man,
This is my MILF.
yeah, exactly. So it is weird, but I mean, step in the right direction.
Compared to a lot of manga that I read, this one's actually very safe compared to like family friendliness. Particularly things from Seven Seas. They're usually going to be more family friendly. They do have a more like step in the wrong direction. Printing. What you call it? This is the publisher, Seven Seas, or the distributor, printer. I don't know what they do.
Publisher, probably.
Publisher. That's the word. They do other stuff, but they also have a subsidiary called Ghost Ship, which is more like risque stuff. And that's when I decided we probably shouldn't be reading the one that's published by Ghost Ship instead of Seven Seas. I didn't realize because they have the same exact logo, but more this one's more torn up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but characters being like that are a little common between romance manga. I didn't just bring these to make that joke, by the way. I did bring them to talk about manga characters in general. For romance mangas, there's a lot of problems with over sexualizing, and mainly because this is targeting a high school demographic, which is why all of these take place in high school. So characters like in My Monster Secret, there's like a lot of, hey, it's okay to explore things like this as long as you're safe about it type mentalities. Love is War is a lot about like, hey, it's okay if you don't really understand your feelings as long as you're going at it earnestly. Boarding School Juliet is just very good. Please read it. This one's just a harem anime, or manga. I wouldn't suggest this if you're into real romance. I would suggest it if you're into monster girls, weirdo. This one's complicated. Dress Up Darling. So this one is more about like, hey, it doesn't really matter what you're into as long as, you know, you got those people with you. But it's also incredibly horny. I thought this was written by a man. This is written by a woman. And I was like, what the fuck?
Women are horny too.
Yeah. Hold up. Is the feet thing in this one?
All right.
Yeah, it is. All right. So this is why.
So I have to buy it.
Yeah. No, you don't. It's right here.
Mm.
Yeah. And I went, this is written by a woman? You guys don't get to see it. If you
Yeah.
guys read it, you know what I'm talking about. Like
Yeah.
I said, this is not a replacement for reading these.
Yeah, I don't want to get flagged on YouTube
Or Pornhub.
or Pornhub. Nah, we'll put this episode on Pornhub.
And then get flagged.
Yeah, that's like a Patreon thing. If we ever did Patreon, I'd read like a risque manga, or fuck, I'll read porn and talk about it. I don't care.
There it is. I'm just blind. I was like, what happened to my volume of Toradora? I need it. All right. But that's another common thing with protagonists. Ryuji is very homely, and this is another thing they like to show in romance manga, of subversion of expectation. Ryuji is very unlike a generic dude.
Yeah.
So that's why this doesn't appeal to like people who are like, oh, shonen is the only thing you can read. It's the only thing that's good.
What's interesting is that this technically is a shonen.
No, it isn't.
I looked it up. Yes, it is. It's classified as a shonen rom-com.
Well, that's because like I said, battle shonen.
It's not a battle shonen.
Shonen just means boy is the thing.
Yeah.
This is Ryuji's growing up story. That is why these are technically all shonen. This is not a shoujo manga, which is about women. It's growing up story.
But I think for a shonen, even if it's not a battle shonen, for a shonen, I think it's very healthy to have like a story that, because as much as this is like Ryuji's story, it does have the female perspective in a lot of things.
Oh yeah.
And you can tell because like before I even looked it up, I knew this was written by a woman because the interactions feel very real, even if they are like played up and they are stereotypical at times. It's very real.
When Minori and I almost called her Toradora, Taiga, interact, it feels very human.
Yeah, it's very genuine. I'm gonna skip ahead. I mean, we can cut this out, but I want to skip ahead to like something we'll talk about in like volume 3.
Can you talk about that scene where Ryuji smacks Taiga's ass for no reason?
No, I
because I wanted to talk about that.
We'll talk about it in volume 3, but
Okay.
and I'll talk about the scene more in volume 3 as well. There's a scene where the two girls, the new girl that comes in, like the model, they're making fun of her for being fat. Or like she says she's on a diet, and then she's like, "Oh, the diet police are here," and they're all posing and shit.
Oh, they JoJo posed, by the way.
Yeah, they JoJo posed, which we'll talk about more about the scene later. But that felt very fun, and it feels like something that girls that age would do, and you can tell it was written from a place of like, yeah, they're being mean right now, but it's also like it's tasteful hazing.
Yeah.
Also, by the way, I'm gonna take this for a minute. We've been getting a lot of comments, right, on YouTube, mainly YouTube. TikTok have been pretty positive for the most part. Unless they're like
one hate comment.
Yeah.
Stop uploading.
Yeah.
People read this shit that I just gave up.
Yeah. But I mean that wasn't against you. That was against the.
Hey, that manga's good. Read Toilet Bound Hanako-san.
We've been getting a lot of comments on YouTube that just say like fat, Jim, you're fat. Oh my God, you're a whale. Here's the thing. It doesn't bother me. I know I'm fat.
I'm not fat.
I know I'm fat. You actually lost a lot of weight.
I've lost a lot.
Very proud of you. I've been going to the gym too.
He's been going to the gym and I lost weight.
I've been going to the gym. However, that doesn't bother me. I know I'm fat. What does bother me is the minute I respond, kill yourself, I'm the bad guy.
Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds
People
weird.
get so mad that you tell someone to kill themselves. And here's my thing. You shouldn't randomly tell people to do it. However,
This wasn't random.
if you come at me and just say fat, I should be able to say kill yourself. No, because I get mad that like the second I say that, I'm no longer the victim.
I mean, you'll always be the victim. Doesn't mean you're also not the perpetrator.
No, you'll always be fat. That's my thing though, is like I think we should normalize coming at people like with that energy, is what I'm saying. Right? It's like when you played like Halo or something and people like old shit talking. Like I'm not saying slurs. That's not what I'm saying. But creative insults should always be encouraged.
Yeah.
That's my thing.
Make fun of David for wearing a vest. It's warm in here.
They don't know.
Yes, they do. I said that in the episode.
Why are you wearing a vest? Esau said it was warm in there. The fuck? The fuck?
Also, I would like to point out, like, I feel like people don't understand that I'm, like, who I am. Because I comment on my personal account on a lot of things, like, to reply, because I don't want to go to the Read 'em in Weeb official thing. Mainly because I want David to be in full control of that, and I don't want to have any liabilities for it. So I'll reply to people.
You deleted the channel.
I don't know, man. I don't know. You don't know? What if I accidentally hit, like, Alt F4 and the channel's gone?
I'd laugh.
No, you wouldn't.
I would.
But I interact with some of the people, and then I get no like, oh, I'm like, hey, this, and then they don't reply, and I'm like, that's weird. I'm helping you. Say thank you, motherfucker.
Yeah. Because I thought that too. They don't know that that's you on screen.
Despite the fact that my profile picture is me,
A picture of your face.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a picture of my face with the hat.
We get a lot of
It's my own personal hat, by the way. It's a one of a kind.
we get a lot of comments that like kind of misconstrued what we say. And that I don't think it bugs me to disagree with our takes because that's fair. You know, I don't know everything, you know.
I do. That's
I knew
my
you were
job.
gonna say that. But I what does bug me is when people purposely or not purposely misconstrued or misrepresent what I'm saying, because and it could be my fault for not articulating myself in a way that could have got my point across better, but
Are you talking about tournament arc?
that was my fault, and that was my fault. But I was also playing up the whole argument that we were having.
I was 100% serious.
You were, and I was playing it up, and actively like because I was saying what I meant, but I was saying it in a way and in a tone that was like defensive, and it was funny for the bit, And then I went into another video explaining myself further, where I was like, okay, in my opinion, this is my, and to which people were who were like, commenting that were liking the post, and we're like, okay. However, we said something like somebody just straight up misconstrued what you said, because you were talking about blue and green from Pokemon, and because you called him Gary.
I
and
did
you were
call
like,
him Gary.
and you were like, oh, sorry, Blue and Gary, whatever, they're both Oak's grandson.
Yeah.
And so somebody commented, Red and Blue are not both Oak's grandson. And I was watching the video again, and I was like, you didn't say that.
I think he said blue and green are interchangeable because of in Japanese. Oh, different comment?
Different comment.
Oh, sorry. I don't read the comments either.
That comment also, again, not what we were talking about.
That being said, I think it's different in Fire Red and Leaf Green, which I think are their own manga as well. I think it's like a 3 manga thing. I think he's called Green there.
Yes, he is.
Why do you know that?
I looked into it because I was
Weirdo.
also because
I can punch you in this. We're close enough now. We weren't close enough before.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of like this setup.
We'll set it up in your place.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
You'll figure it out, and then you'll have me set it up.
Yeah. My room's too small for this.
I can make it out of PVC pipe. A whole room for recording.
Ideally, I would like to
make a whole room out of PVC pipe.
Yes. To have like a designated space to record in like an apartment or something.
Made out of PVC pipe.
Yes.
Sorry, I after our first 2 PVC projects went really well, I've kind of been addicted to it. Anyway, please make sure you know what we're saying before you comment. Sorry, I was trying to get back to where we were. I forgot. I was gonna just go back to Toradora, and I realized you were making a point.
Sorry, that was just really funny. Not, oh, we should work harder to kind of, frame things in a way.
Well, to be fair, both of those comments just weren't what we were talking about. We were very clear that I called blue Gary, not calling blue green or green blue or red Oak's grandson.
That's true.
I said Blue and Gary are both Oak's grandson.
That's true.
Dumb fucks. Anyway.
We love you. Thanks for commenting.
I do. You know, all the engagement on that tournament arc blew it up, so.
Thank you guys for 60 subs, by the way. We're at 59, but I'm assuming we'll hit 60 by the time.
I'll sub finally.
Yeah. On YouTube. But what made me laugh, there was my favorite type of comment, and we'll go back to Toradora. Is like for the tournament arc one specifically. So you're saying the written exam was part of this whole thing? And then I was like, that is exactly what I'm saying, yes.
In fact, I think we said that exactly.
I said that verbatim.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, so Toradora. So the tournament arc in Toradora is gonna go crazy.
Yeah. Sorry. I didn't finish my earlier bit. So out of all the choices I gave him, he asked for a manga I don't have.
Yes. I mean, regardless, I didn't have any of them.
Yeah, but I gave him a bunch of great Toradora, by the way. I'm glad we chose Toradora.
Oh, this was the correct option.
I did suggest it, but of all the ones I suggested, he was like, what about that one you don't have at all? I went.
But here's the thing. I never brought it up. Esau brought up Toradora, and then we both found it for reasonable prices.
Yeah. And
we bought it.
Speaking of reasonable prices, sorry, we talked about this before, and I didn't have an example before. I'm so sorry, Mike's dad. Probably a better way to do that. So My Monster Secret is actually a personal favorite of mine, even though it's not very good. All the volumes, normal pricing, $5-10, depending. Volume 4 is $90.
Dude, that's how like Slam Dunk is. I think they did a reprint recently, but for a while, volume 19 of Slam Dunk, I have to check what it is now, but it was so fucking expensive.
Someone on Mercury bought volume 4 for $30 and almost committed a war crime to find them.
It's really hard to find the good pricing for the Full Metal Alchemist Full Metal editions. I got more of them. I'm actually only 6 books away, and I'll have all the Full Metal editions, which will look so nice on my shelf. We'll have to coordinate for that, because one thing I found out was that the Full Metal editions
are not the same length as the normal volumes.
No, they are more to the Japanese printings, so pages are different. We'll have to coordinate.
Chapters are the same though. They're organized by chapters.
It's a little different. So different amount of chapters per volume.
Yeah, but the chapters are labeled by which chapters go which, so it's not starting at chapter 1 again in volume 2. It'll be like chapter 27 or something.
I mean, all volumes do that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So we can just read per chapter.
Yeah, we can just be like, okay, I'm reading to here.
Because I have the mega volumes.
You're right. Okay. That works out. Neither of us got the books.
Yeah. No, we both got
the books. We didn't get the original books. I got the Full Metal edition.
I got the omnibus.
Cool. Did you really get the big omnibus of Death Note?
I absolutely got the big omnibus of Death Note.
That's really funny.
I'm so excited to read that eventually.
Yeah.
Toradora. Sorry, Toradora.
Yeah. It's very. I think what's funny about Toradora is it's so different from the battle action shonen that it's kind of hard for me to be like, okay, this happened. It's more so talking about what I liked and disliked, really. Which again, like we said earlier, this is not an alternative to reading the source material. Right.
This is kind of like hey, I want to see what these two idiots think of something I enjoy or something that I did not enjoy.
Yeah, this is a shooting the shit, and then Toradora a little
Toradora was there.
Yeah, Toradora was in fact there. I'm really glad that we chose this though, because
you chose this.
Well, you agreed.
Yeah, but like you're usually the one who chooses these.
Didn't you choose Pokemon?
Well, I bought Pokemon, and you're like, what if we read Pokemon?
That's true. I think I suggested them. I think we both mutually agreed, though.
We mutually agree, but he usually is the one who decides, because I'm always willing to read anything, as witnessed by all this trash in front of me.
Yeah. We narrow it down, though, because the next two were both mutual that we're doing.
I suggested one of them.
Yeah. But a lot of our decision making. So it made sense that Dragon Ball was the first one. One, we both bought the box sets.
He bought them both.
I bought them both for both of us. But two, it's a story that we know very well. It was a good way to start the series.
To stump the series.
To stump the series. Pokemon, we both happen to have it. It's something that we didn't read, but we're familiar with the source material. You actually read it before. We're familiar with the source material. Toradora was completely new to both of us, apparently. Well, you saw up until the beach scene that's coming up, I guess. But for the most part, we both don't know where the end of the story is going.
I didn't say that either.
I started taking notes while I was reading, which is something I didn't do for the first two manga, which maybe would have helped. But I did start taking notes and kind of writing down my thoughts because it helped me have some talking points. But at this point, and it's kind of hard to make predictions when we read 3 volumes at a time. We record 3 episodes at a time. My initial predictions were that these two characters are eventually going to either end up together or they're going to find out that they are not they're not healthy to be around each other. Those were my 2 predictions of where the story will end, because they are fun together. They are really fun characters. They're both just very toxic. At least my initial impressions is that how can this relationship that they've put together last in the conditions that they've set for themselves? Because it does feel transactional, regardless of the fact that they enjoy their time together, or it seems that they enjoy their time together.
It's almost parasitic.
Yeah, and that's what
symbiotic.
Yeah, and that's what I feel like is interesting about this book compared to a regular romance where they have, very common, problems like their ideals are different, or their ways of living are different. Their upbringings make them different.
One of them's a vampire. They're not allowed to talk about it.
Yeah.
One of them likes porn games and need cosplay for them.
Yeah.
They're part of political faction that are disagreeing with each other, and their country used to be at war, and they're fighting a proxy war at a school, but they're both in love, even though they're from different factions, and they love each other.
That's kind of Fullmetal Alchemist.
And they get together in the first volume. Sorry.
Which is also refreshing.
Yeah, I really like this volume.
But what I like about this is that I'm reading it, and I'm like, I feel like they're going to end up together, and I really don't want them to.
I want them to, mainly because I don't care. At
this point in the story, I was like, oh, that would work. And then we'll talk about in the next episode is where I was like, that shift happened for me.
In fact, I'm actually the opposite. In the first, I was like, I hate these characters. In the second volume, I was like, oh, I kind of want them together.
I will say that's how I felt in the beginning of the second volume, but after like middle of the second volume, I felt the opposite. And I'll explain why when we get there. In the next episode. Is there anything you wanted to talk about the first volume?
I want to talk about so many things. We haven't even talked about anything. So there's like a lot of things that go on. We learn a lot about Taiga's lack of ability to do jack shit. She's really clumsy. That's a big thing about Taiga. She's really fucking clumsy.
Bad at everything she does.
Bad at everything. But she's also like crazy strong. We learned that more later. We're not going to talk about that now.
I'm going to look at this real quick.
So this ends at the cookie thing where she fucks up the cookies. So we learned that she can't cook. She can't really clean. And by really, I mean at all. I think they're actually late to school. Is that in this volume where they're late to school because of her?
Yes.
Because Ryuji goes over to her house to wake her up, and she goes back to sleep, and he sees that her kitchen is a biohazard nightmare. So he spends the whole time cleaning it, so he's fucked. And he's like, fuck this, I'm cleaning it. He spends the whole time cleaning it, and they're late for class. Thankfully, Minori's waiting for them, blah, blah, blah. And Taiga's like, oh, we just happen to see each other. And he's like, this is my chance. I get to talk to Minori. And Taiga's like, fuck you. We just happen to meet each other. Why are you going to follow us to school? Even though we go to the same school, we're all friends.
Yeah.
And this is where Ryuji realizes that this is not we help each other. This is you help me or I won't let you succeed.
Yeah.
It's a sink or swim together by seppuku essentially, and it's really toxic. But I love it. It's one of those like weird things, and it shows Taiga's differences here. She changes throughout these first 3 volumes. She actually changes a lot in my opinion, especially towards Ryuji. But this shows her disdain for Ryuji and her how do I want to say it? She doesn't want her friend being stolen. She doesn't have very many friends. She has one.
Yeah. At this point, she doesn't consider him a friend.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Her only real friend right now is Minori. Maybe Takamura is his name, I think. I checked the love note. I think. Fuck, Yasaku? Damn it. I was way off. Yasaku. Yasaku? Fuck. His last name's harder to say, too. Maybe would consider her a friend. And obviously she would not consider Ryuji a friend at this point. And this kind of like built this kind of builds a really interesting dynamic between them where, like I said, they aren't friends, they aren't co-conspirators, they're not like allies. She thinks she's his master and that he is her dog.
And he's very like, what's the word? Very much a pushover. And so he kind of like lends himself to that dynamic. Because I think he likes being nurturing. He likes being in this position.
He's a sub.
Yeah. He's very like, for lack of a better term.
I have a better
But
term.
he likes, doing these things like the cooking and the cleaning. As much as he'll like kind of detest it, he really doesn't need to be in this situation if he just kind of like stood up for himself. But in a way, it doesn't feel like he really has the drive or the want to do so at this moment, which makes their dynamic interesting because you do see that they are starting to get along more. And then as the book goes on, they, as much as she won't, admit it, they are growing close and they are becoming friends, like in a way that feels pretty organic.
Yeah.
And then whether or not, again, whether or not they're healthy for each other is different. But this is where I was like, oh, cool, they're actually starting to get along, and this book is becoming something different than what I expected it. Because if the book stayed with this whole like episodic, like, okay, I'm gonna help you get with him, you're gonna help me get with her, it would be fun. If that was the route they decided to go, it would be fun, and I would still read it. But it's going in a direction of like, okay, our circumstances are weird. We're just gonna keep, hanging out with each other, and it'll work out eventually.
Yeah. And the issue there would stem from the fact that she doesn't want to help him until she succeeds.
Yeah.
And that isn't going to happen for a while, at the very least.
And what's interesting about her character too is that though she's like our second protagonist, as a reader, at this point in the story, she doesn't deserve to succeed. Because realistically, one, she's not a great person, and two, the another person is not a prize. And I think that's the direction I would like to see the story go. Is that because realistically, like we see that these two have a lot in common with each other. The story has not shown me that their love interests have a lot in common with them.
Yeah. They don't know their love interests. They are not friends with their love interests.
Yeah. So where I see this going is that they'll eventually succeed and find out that this is not what they want, or they don't succeed and they're just like, hey, they were able to, tell this other person that I like them, but also like taking no for an answer is something that people need to learn how to do, So I find that interesting, and I think having her be so unpleasant and him be so dependent on having someone to depend on him are traits that I hope we dive into in later volumes.
Well, we don't even dive into them later on. We can talk about them now. The fact is, Ryuji doesn't have friends.
Yeah.
He likes having someone there for him in general.
Well,
Yasuku was his only friend, and Yasuku doesn't need Ryuji at all because he is very self-dependent, very friendly, very social. He has a lot of friends. Even though he says he can't talk to women, he has a lot of friends.
He has guy like friends in the very surface level sense of things. He doesn't have any friends that he can kind of like,
He doesn't though. He only has Yasuku.
Well, no, as we see later, is that people like will hang out with him.
Oh, that's eventually though. I'm talking about in this volume.
Yeah, in this volume. But from what I'm getting is that every person that he talks to, because he even says he's like, I don't really talk to girls. I mainly just talk to guys. It's all surface level, except for his best friend who knows him beyond that. But even then, like you said, it's not someone who depends on him, and so he feels like there's something missing.
Yeah.
which is not healthy. And I hope they dive into that more because I think this all stems from who his mom is, which I think was a very smart choice to right off the bat show us his relationship before we even meet anyone else. We meet him and his mom, and I think that was intentional. I think it was important because it stems everything wrong with this character.
We also meet the bird.
We also meet the bird.
The bird is important eventually.
Yes, I think. Have I got there?
The last
Did you spoil
chapter of the volume.
I mean, sure, but we sure.
I mean, that seemed pretty important. I don't remember what comes next. That seemed pretty important.
I'm gonna laugh if it's not at all important.
Yes, same. So he has a bird. The bird is like kind of fucked. It's like a talking.
It's like an old, mangled.
Yeah, it looks like a diseased-ridden parrot.
Yeah, it's drawn really funny.
Yeah, he tells the mom it's okay to let her underwear show, and the mom's like, "Oh, is it?" And then Ryuji's like, "Don't take advice from the goddamn bird.
That's
Have
a
you seen
bird."
him?" And then she does.
Yeah.
He doesn't stop her.
Yeah.
But another thing I want to parallel is Taiga. Taiga doesn't have any friends for different reasons. Like I said, she is an abrasive, aggressive individual. They call her the palm top tiger. We haven't brought that up yet, despite the fact it's literally written everywhere. Because she's small but very aggressive, and her only friend is Minori.
Sorry, am I missing? Maybe I just don't know what the word palm top means.
She's small.
That's what that means?
Yes.
Okay. I've never heard that phrase before, so I was trying to kind of get context clues, and I was assuming has something to do with her height.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to ask that because I've never heard that phrase before.
Anyway, she's palm top tiger. The reason why I feel like her aggression with people like Ryuji is because she dealt with a lot of guys before. She is not unattractive. She's very in this world, she is very cute in as they describe her. And apparently a lot of people have asked her out before, tried to get closer in terms just to ask her out, and she turned them all down in aggressive ways. Later we find out like a lot of people asked her out. So I feel like her expectation of friendship from specifically men is different from that because of that. Especially because we eventually find out she doesn't get along with her parents either. She wants to be self-sufficient even though she knows she can't. And she's stubborn like that. And that's why her character development is going to be, in my opinion, one of the more interesting things. I don't really like where they're doing. I do like what they're doing with Ryuji, but I'm just not interested.
I think right now, like you said, I think that's an interesting angle, her relationship with men. But I also think what's also interesting is that her relationship with herself and her being comfortable opening up to people. Because, like you said, a lot of people have asked her out, but she's the opposite of Ryuji in the fact that with Ryuji, no one's getting to know him, whereas she's being very open right off the bat, and it's because people know her is that she's gained this kind of personality that people have put on her, and she's kind of living up to, one, she set expectations for people, but she's living up to what people think of her, and now she's like a walking caricature of herself. And again, this is I think so far the writing is what's grasped me the most, regardless of how wonderful the art has been.
Yeah.
And I was really excited once I read the first volume to get into the next ones.
Look at his nose. Sorry, did I ruin this for you?
A little bit.
Sorry about that. His nose is real weird.
As I was saying, one thing I also like, and I think it's kind of the last thing that caught my eye, was there's a scene where by the end of they're hanging out a lot, and by the end of it, the whole school thinks they're dating, which is a really ironic and funny.
I don't think that's this volume.
It is. It is.
Oh yeah, they start the rumors. Yeah, you're right.
So they're starting rumors, which is really funny because this is not at all what they wanted. But everyone thinks they're dating because of how they're acting and how they're being very close to each other, which I think is interesting because, one, it's written really well. Kids do act like this, and they spread rumors like constantly because they're always hanging out. But two, I think it's also a good commentary on like, hey, if these characters don't end up dating, their relationship and how they hang out is perfectly fine as platonic friends. And I think I hope the book dives into platonic friendship as well, because kids, that's something kids need to learn.
Yeah.
It's like friendship because me and Esau have the same friend group we've had for a while. Or what I mean to say is, me and Esau have known each other for a while, since high school, middle school.
Last week.
We've gone through a lot of friend groups, and we're friends with a lot of women. And we know a lot of women who
My
and
joke. You ruined it. I was gonna make a joke how I've never seen these women before, but they seem pretty cool. And then you ruined it by telling them I've talked to women before.
Not everyone knows I talk to a lot of women. You ruined it for me.
That's not our last podcast.
Our
having
audience.
2 women.
Our audience thought we were virgins.
Now they know.
But it was just you.
That being said, there is something interesting that you mentioned in passing, but I actually want to dive in a bit deeper on.
Yeah.
Ryuji and Taiga are complete opposites in every single sense of the word.
Yeah.
Taiga looks very approachable. She's very cute. And her personality is complete disaster. Like, the more people get to know her, the more they're like, I don't want to know her.
Yeah.
Ryuji's the exact opposite. He looks like a threat. Like I said, he's from his dad, who's dead. By the way, his dad's dead. His dad's dead.
He's a shonen protagonist.
Yeah, you're right. Fuck. Is the exact opposite. He looks visibly unapproachable. He's unable to get people like. He talks about this in the beginning, but he always has to spread the fact that his looks don't translate to his personality, and that going to the school he has to do that all over again.
Yeah, and no one listens. There's another thing, is that he does tell people, but appearances matter more.
Yeah.
So he can tell people all he wants, but that is still
it needs to spread. He needs it to go through like naturally, because he said it worked at his last school eventually, I think, but he has to start from scratch here, and eventually he talks about it more. But
is it a new school or was it just a new year? Because
I believe he's first year high school.
Is it first year?
I thought he was a first year.
Because they're 17.
Well, then how would he not know who Taiga was?
I think he knew her.
No, he didn't.
But
he went Palm Top Tiger. Right there. It's the first page.
I thought that was like, I guess they might have just never interacted, maybe. But, because he knows people already.
Well, he knows like 3 people. You're right.
So I'm assuming they were just in different like homerooms is what the implication was to me.
You're right.
But even with because I argue with like, when we were in middle school, we didn't have homeroom or anything. Our like biggest class or homeroom class would be like our English class, which was 2 periods instead of 1. And so I'd argue that was like where a lot of people kind of met each other more, or the elective classes, like we were in band and that's where we met a lot of our close friends. So I'd argue that's kind of how it is. Whereas like, oh, it's a new year, I'm meeting entirely new people.
You're right. I've read through the whole thing. You're right.
Which is still valid. He has to convince another class who may or may not be different. He doesn't know yet. That I am not who you think I am. I'm actually pretty cool if you get to know me.
Yeah. And I actually really like this aspect of opposites, because opposites don't attract. That's a lie. It's differences that attract, not necessarily opposites. But opposites do tend to change each other, and you can already tell the changes coming between Ryuji and Taiga as this volume alone progresses. And it's really interesting. And the more volumes progress, the more you realize, oh, they are changing each other. That's really interesting.
Yeah. I think if there's any note that I kind of want to leave off on for this book specifically is if there's anything you can take away from Toradora, it is that opposites don't attract, but rather there are aspects of other people that can it shouldn't fill a gap of something you lack, in the sense of like it shouldn't fix you, you know?
You are not broken.
Yeah. If there's aspects about yourself that are like being not self-sufficient, that you can't bathe yourself or clean yourself or cook for yourself properly, that's not someone else's job to do that for you.
Unless you're paying them.
Unless you're paying them. And in which case that is their job to do that for you. Thanks, man.
You're welcome. Sorry, I wanted to completely invalidate your point because you took my manga again.
Mine's the set piece.
Yeah, that sucks. You should have bought us another volume.
You should have bought a third one, yeah. the point I was making is, I hope the book dives into the fact that you kind of need to build yourself up before diving into another person.
Don't expect people to fix you.
Exactly.
Don't expect a relationship to fix you either.
Yeah. And I'm hoping that this book dives into that because so far the writing is great, in my opinion.
I kind of wanted to buy the light novel and bring it.
I
Mainly
actually
to be like, there was no pictures in my manga, but I already had a bit.
this is different than what you're doing. What are you talking about? That would have been so fucking funny.
Yeah.
I found it at Barnes and Noble too.
Oh, that's really so okay.
Not at Barnes and Noble. One of
I'm gonna tell a story. Sorry, buddy. He watches this. My buddy for Christmas. So this was another problem with Toradora when David suggested it. This was on my Christmas list of things for my friends to get me, and my friend was planning to get it for me. I told him like, "Hey man, we're actually gonna buy it. I'm just gonna buy the whole box set. Sorry about that." He was like, "Bro, I was planning to buy it." I was worried that he had already like ordered it online or something. Apparently, he was just walking into Barnes and Noble and hoping to see it. And I went, "My brother in Christ, this manga came out like ages ago. What the fuck is wrong with you?" I can understand this is popular, but I don't think it's that popular to still be in print at Barnes and Noble. When did this come out?
I'll look next time I go.
March 2011.
I think I think the light novel is a little more accessible. Also
Available, you
if
mean?
available, ease of access. If I like the show, if I like the manga, maybe I'll get the light novel. Because so far I really like it. So
I have a couple of light novels in my library. They're usually better at describing things that you would miss on a panel
mhm.
because the author is able to drag you towards it by force.
Yeah.
It's like your eyes are here now, and I'm like, yeah, oh, I didn't notice that. Type things, and that's
Yeah.
what I really like about that. Also, you can probably like read minds and shit like a lot better.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, that's the first volume of Toradora. Her cookies are bad. Her cookies are good. He thought they were delicious.
Oh right. There's that where we end off.
Yeah. She tries to make cookies for Yasuku, and she fucking falls down the stairs, and Ryuji catches her and gets hurt. He gets hurt, but he plays it off as he's fine. And the cookies go flying out the window. They eventually go get them, and they're ruined. She made these, and he's like, "Well, let me eat them." And he eats them. He's like, "They're good," because he had given her some he made because he's obviously a great baker.
Yeah.
And he's like, "They're good," and she's like, "I'm glad." And then everything's hunky dory.
So what she did was because she's bad at everything, put salt instead of sugar in her cookies.
Oh, I thought you were going
Which-
to talk about how everything was his fault,
No,
which is what she says, I think.
which what she says. And he lies and tells her that they're really good because she opens up to him about being bad at everything, and she's kind of like being very self-reflective in this moment. And he's like, I don't want her to feel worse, so I'm going to lie and tell her they were good. But I want to tell a story because we had somebody do that same shit, except with fries. We have this mutual friend who we went bowling, and me and Esau got fries at the bowling alley, like diner or whatever.
This
whatever
guy
you call
wasn't
it.
invited.
That's true.
We
That's true.
he tagged along, I think.
That's true. Was he not?
Well, you got the fries for us.
Oh, he was invited to the bowling alley.
I think he was just at the bowling alley.
If that's the case, that's really funny. Regardless, we were at the bowling alley,
Yeah.
but the fries were ours.
'Cause I don't think we were there to bowl. I think we were there to eat.
No, we were there to bowl. We wouldn't go there to eat.
Well, I think it was like a group thing, no?
We were waiting on people, and so we were eating.
Mm.
So we were getting food because we were waiting on people.
That sounds about right.
And we were sitting down eating, and he gets, which granted, why would there be a big ass thing of sugar on the table? He gets a big ass thing of sugar, sprinkles it all over the fries. And me and Esau were like, that looks like sugar. And he's like, nah, it's salt. And he takes a bite, and then he doesn't say anything. And then Esau takes a bite, and he's like, this is sugar. You put sugar on our fries.
These weren't your fries.
Buy us more fries.
Did not buy us more fries.
Did not buy more fries. How do you fuck that up?
I'm gonna be honest. Definitely not entirely his fault. Why is there a big thing of sugar?
No,
Odds
no,
are
no,
it's
no,
for
no.
breakfast
It is
stuff.
entirely his fault. Those are not your fries.
And I think about it's for coffee.
Yeah, that makes more sense. But also, it is entirely his fault. Those are not your fries.
Yeah, they were not his fries.
Because we saw it and we are like, that's sugar.
Yeah. After he poured it, I was like, I'm pretty sure that's sugar.
All over the fries. Which was fucked up because those weren't cheap. We were in high school.
At a bowling alley.
At a bowling alley. I was the only one with a job.
Where'd you work? Walmart?
I worked at McDonald's. So I worked my ass off for those fries.
Yep.
Only for sugar to be
I was an
sprinkled
entire
all over
hour
them.
worth of work there.
Yeah.
Sugared down.
Because minimum wage was like $9 back then.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my fry story. But the manga ends with what's the girl's name?
Taiga?
No.
Minority?
Yes. She grabs the both of them and is like,
yeah.
we need to talk. And they're like, what's going on? And then the manga ends. And then we get the bonus chapter of the mom. Do we want to talk about that?
Not really.
Not really. It's just the mom's like daily routine.
Yeah. She a baddie.
Yeah, but it's just like not relevant to the story. So I kind of
it might be relevant to the story eventually. I don't know. This could be like the One Piece fucking cover volumes that eventually turn into fucking,
which is really funny.
Kobe's and Meppo's story,
which is really funny.
That's how you know a manga is good. If I remember everyone's name. I remembered.
Yeah, no, I always forget that when you talk about One Piece, you always bring up names to me, and I never.
Yeah.
Even
David said a name to me of a character of a show. I was like, don't say names at me.
It was Sakamoto Days. There are only two. There are two fucking characters at the point that it was the chapter 1.
Yeah.
I brought up 2 fucking characters. He's like, don't say names at me. And I'm like, Sakamoto's name is in the fucking title. Also, read Sakamoto Days. I read volume 1. I fucking loved it. I need to read the rest. It's so fucking good.
I already have volume 2. I bought it.
Holy fuck.
It's pretty fucking good.
I did not expect me to enjoy it that much.
I was seeing it. I was like, this shit looks really good.
I was at Barnes & Noble. I picked up like a bunch of random fucking volume 1s. And so I remembered that I saw on TikTok and you recommended me Sakamoto Days. You said, oh, I saw this on TikTok. It was pretty good. And we talked about it in passing. So I was like, oh, Sakamoto Days. I grabbed a few other things. And then I sent it to Esau. I was like, oh, I got Sakamoto Days. I'm going to read it right now. And then like 10 minutes later, I said, I love it. I love it like immediately. It's so good. It's so funny. And the art is hilarious. If you have not read Sakamoto Days, please read it.
My favorite part is when he isn't fat and then he gets fat the next day.
Yeah. He like All Mights. He reverse All Mights. It's so funny.
So funny.
Please read it.
I might do a one-off on that one.
Oh, I was thinking about doing it too.
You should do it then.
Okay.
That way I'm not the only one doing one-offs.
Yeah.
All one of them. Okay, so a third reason why I brought these is I'm actually going to try and do one-offs during the month of February.
Do one right now.
A lot of these. I mean, I can.
Yeah, do one right now.
All right. Let's talk about the one we were going to talk about before, 100 Girlfriends. So 100 Girlfriends follows the main character, Rintaro. He is a great individual. He is loved by all. However, he cannot get a girlfriend for the life of him. He's moving into high school in his first year, and he just got his 100th rejection. And his friend is like confused at it because he is a great guy. He volunteers. He's always helping. Everyone likes him. He gets great grades. He's athletic. But no point can he get a girlfriend. So right before he goes to high school, he goes to a shrine. He's like, please, Lord in heaven, please let me get a girlfriend. And then God himself of the shrine appears. And he's like, not only will you get a girlfriend, you'll get a soulmate. Not just one, 100 soulmates that you'll meet in high school. He's like, how will I know? And he's like, you'll look him in the eyes and you'll feel a shock in your fucking scrot. And he's like, I can't wait. So he meets these first 2 girls on the cover. What are their names? Don't ask. I don't remember. One's a tsundere, the other one's hot. I think that's their character personalities. Everyone's one character personality. The only one I like is the cat girl, because she tried to. You know what? I'm not gonna say what she tried to do. Anyway, so he meets them at the same time, and he's like, and they both eventually ask him out. He's like, I can't choose. Wow, I'm so blessed. And then like 10 minutes later, he's like, I can't choose. Holy fuck, this is a curse. So it goes back to the shrine. He's like, please tell me, how do I choose? And he's like, oh, they're like your ultimate perfect romance partner. You can't choose. It's going to be impossible for you. He's like, Well, what about other people who have this problem? He's the only person in the world because this God is a fucking moron. Anyway, so he's like, okay. And he's like, and God's like, by the way, if you choose one and date them, the other one will die. Horrifically. And he
that's where the
goes,
TikTok ends.
yeah. Anyway, that's a story about how he starts gathering girlfriends like Pokemon.
Cool.
Yeah, so the cat girl, she doesn't like working. She's like working a 9 to 5. She's an adult. He's in high school. Don't ask questions. There's a lot of problems like that. He eventually dates this girl's mom as well. And
This is just Honey Pop.
yeah. So fast forward. Doesn't like working. She's tired. She calls her mom. Her mom's like, "You gotta work." And eventually she's like, "I wish I was a cat. Maybe in the next life I'd be a cat." And she's like, "I'm gonna jump off into this train to die so I can become a cat in the next life."
Does it?
No, she
Oh.
does not do it. That would be really tragic if she did. But she's like, "You know what? I have terrible luck. I'd just be a human in the next life." So she just puts on cat ears, cat paws, and then goes sits in a box to get adopted.
Average anime expo enjoyer.
Yeah. What?
The amount of cat girls that I see at like anime expo that are kind of off-putting is kind of crazy.
They're like normal people to me.
Mhm.
Nah.
I'm glad that we can go to conventions now, and if I do like vlog it, we have a channel to put it on
Yeah.
that like is relevant.
Not like last time where we recorded a bunch of footage and didn't do anything with it.
Because you just like it's hard to film in public. So it's just like I don't like doing it.
Yeah. Well, we recorded in public and then you didn't do anything with it.
Yeah, and then I just like it's also uncomfortable. And people, I was looking at the footage, and people were just like uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, you're recording them.
Yeah, but to be fair, we didn't start recording until after we asked.
That's true.
Yeah, like the camera wasn't on. We didn't like walk up. I hate that. I would always make sure that the camera was off before we asked. That way, if they say yes, okay, we'll turn the camera on. This is what we're doing, kind of thing. I feel like I'll be more comfortable filming stuff. One, knowing that there's kind of a purpose for it. It was kind of hard when we were doing like a gaming channel that was kind of turning into a multi-purpose channel, which was turning to like a burden to edit for. And so it felt like that. It was a lot of stuff we were doing
where other people just weren't enjoying it visibly and during production stuff.
That, and also like there's a lot of stuff that we're doing that the bulk of editing, which was all of the editing at one point, was just me. And then a bulk of it was just me, and then all of it was me again. And then it wasn't fun. But now with the focused podcast and anything extra that we do is all just because I want to do it. And so that's why it's fun. And it lets me focus on my main channel videos because I kind of had a moment of like, oh, the podcast is catching up to my YouTube channel. I should probably make YouTube videos again. Which I am. I'm working on one that I'm actually really enjoying right now. A few that I'm actually really enjoying, but one that's like my main focus. So this channel's been a lot of fun to work on, and I'm really glad that we're doing it. And I'm really excited for 2024 because, and actually when they see this, it's already 2024. But I'm excited for this year because I feel like we're going to really jump in, get better at stuff, but also like, it's the ball's gonna get rolling. I feel it. Like this is like a good.
I'm rolling his balls.
Yeah, he's rolling my balls. He's squeezing them even.
No, I would never. I'm rolling them.
Yeah. Give him a little tickle.
Yeah, I'll do that while I roll them. Anyway.
And Weeb.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much for watching Read 'em and Weeb.
It's been volume 1 of Toradora. Please pick it up at your own leisure. I do recommend it. It is pretty cheap. There are no like scalped volumes, at least none that I saw. There actually no, that's a lie. I saw one. It was volume like 4 or 5. I don't remember which. It was like someone was selling it for $100 on eBay, and I went, "That's weird."
Which is weird because we found it very.
We found
cheap.
all of this for $100. Not
Yeah.
all of this. All 10 volumes for about $100.
Yeah.
Which is a reasonable about market price.
Yeah.
But like it was out of place because next to it was one for like $6. The exact same volume.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal with that was. Because it was probably just like somebody who's like, oh, these are a little hard to get. Here, let me try to get some money out of somebody. But they're, for the most part, fairly accessible if you want to find them on like Amazon or your local bookstores, I'd recommend first.
Local bookstores, thrift books, Amazon.
Yeah.
Resellers, eventually, like if you want to take a risk on getting like, product that has like a cum stain in it.
like real shit. I like ordering from eBay because of reviews for sellers. If you find a seller that is very trustworthy and you see the reviews are pretty well uh well
But they have
represented.
good reviews.
Yeah, thank you. Go with them. I found Toradora on eBay. I think you did too.
I found mine on Mercury.
I found mine on eBay. And the sellers had really good reviews, and he got it to me like that next fucking day. He said,
Oh yeah. So we went for pizza, and he was like, "What about Toradora?" And I was like, "Yeah, we could do Toradora." He's like, "And I bought it." And I went, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, I bought it." I was like, "All right, I guess we're doing Toradora." And then 2 days later, he was like, "And I have it." I was like, "What?"
No, the day after, he's like, "Hey man, just send it. It should be there like soon, within the next 2 or 3 days." And I went, "Oh, cool, thank you." I was like, "Thank you so much, I appreciate it." It gets to me the next day, and
Yeah.
I let the seller know. I was like, "Hey man, I just got it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it." And then left them 5 stars.
I didn't review the guy. It took too long for me to review the guy, and
And
they took away the option.
it was put away in such good packaging.
Mine was pretty good packaging. I bought mine on Mercury. I usually ask for like a photo, of like, hey, can I get a condition of just like the edges?
Mm.
Just because yellowing is not a problem for me. I don't give a shit. Some of my volumes are damaged because I do get them secondhand.
Mm.
This one has like a bent corner. That might have been my fault, but like I do have books like that, mainly because I buy all my books through thrift books usually, if I'm not buying in bulk, which I usually don't do. I like thrift books because their customer service is very nice and they will handle things. I think I already bought stuff, but I bought Inuyasha Volume 3 with like a free book token that I had. And they sent me just some book, like that was not a manga, not nothing. And I went, what the fuck? This ain't
This is
Inuyasha. I sent it to David. I was like, the third volume of Inuyasha looks weird. And so I talked to support. She's
Got the
like,
limited edition.
I sent it to the support and they were like, whoops, we'll send you the real one. And I'm like, what do I do with this book? She's like, keep it.
That reminds me of a story. So when I was my senior year of high school, Esau had already graduated at this point.
I'm a year older than him.
I got held back 3 years. What's it called? I couldn't afford, or rather, I didn't want a yearbook, because I didn't see the
I didn't
point.
care about remembering these people. If I want to talk to you, I'll talk to you.
That was my thing. Is like I didn't vibe with a lot of people. Not to say that my high school experience was bad, but I didn't want a yearbook. But what I did instead was I got a compact notebook, composition notebook. Sorry, I got a composition notebook instead of a yearbook. And what I did was I just got the signatures of like my friends, the people who I enjoyed talking to. So I would draw pictures and then have them doodle pictures in it as well. My friend Labe, I love her to death. We've known each other since like elementary school. She's one of those people like I haven't talked to in a while. But like I mean, if I were to hit her up, it'd be like we're cool.
Every once in a while, some of my female friends would just be like, yeah, I watch, and I'm like, why? How did you find me? Mainly because I do post these. I reblog them. One of my friends that I haven't talked to in years, but I know is a big manga fan. I reblogged one of the Instagram things. He sends them to me just so I like. There's no conversation through Instagram. He sends them to me. I post them on my story.
Which is so funny because wait, you're saying I send them to you or your friend does?
You send mine to me.
Okay, so what I thought you were saying was that your friend sends them to you, like it's not your podcast.
Yeah, but
Esau, you're not gonna believe this. Someone filmed you talking about manga.
Anyway, my buddy was like, holy shit, you do a manga thing? I was like, yeah. And she was like, that's so cool. I'm gonna watch it. I went, no, please don't.
Oh,
I
no,
didn't actually, but I was like,
it's funny because like we're just talking about manga, but we also do weird bits,
oh yeah.
and like some of them are strange. Even like when I'm editing, I'm like, why the fuck was this my bit? Like I did a New Yorker accent, and I was like, well, you don't want me to fucking jack off? I'm like I gotta jack off. I gotta do it like twice a day. I cannot do it without. And I was like, what am I on? What is good? Like
David is my friend A group. He's like the only one in this group, and I cannot share group A joke with anybody. And now they're all being recorded.
So it's not a group.
Well, Maya's
Maya,
yeah.
yeah.
Maya's there.
Maya's so funny because she's like the straight man.
Yeah. Which is weird because she's not a straight or man.
Yeah, a straight.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Derogatory.
Yeah, of course. What I was saying about Labe. Sorry, was there more in your story?
No.
Okay, sorry, I thought I cut you off.
No, I cut you off.
That's true. So my friend Labe, I brought my composition notebook for my yearbook, and so she was the first person I asked to sign it because we ran into each other walking to band class, and I said, "Hey, Labe, can you want to sign my yearbook?" And I held the composition notebook, and she yells out really loud, "Oh fuck! You got the limited edition!" Hardest I laughed in my life.
Fuck, that's really good.
So funny. Shout out Labe.
I think I did a similar thing one of my years. I just got a tiny notebook like that big, and I just had people sign it.
Mm-hmm. That might have been where I got the idea that you might have texted me about that.
I might have had you sign it.
I definitely did.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably where I got the idea. Yeah.
I wasn't even in my senior yearbook. They were like, submit your senior photo. And I went, why would I? So I didn't.
Weird, because they just like made us take a senior photo.
Oh, they didn't make us do anything.
Weird.
Yeah.
If
you don't show up to things, they don't make you do them.
That's true. That's true. I was forced to show up by my mom, and she didn't even buy a yearbook. So, you know.
I almost didn't show up to the high school graduation because I just didn't want to. It sucks. It's boring and it costs money.
Which is why high school one?
Yeah.
You could rent the cap and gown. You didn't need to buy it.
Oh, I didn't even buy one. I used my sister's.
So it was free.
Yeah, but like I didn't want to be there.
The cost
time
of
and money.
You didn't go to the college one.
I didn't go to my college one either. No.
But I went to it because we had another friend graduating. And so I sent you a picture of like a stick figure in like the seats, and I was like, Esau, it's you. And then you just said, thanks, man. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching.
Oh, yeah, we're doing a thing.
Yeah, we're recording. We need to get on to episode 2. Thank you guys so much for watching Read 'em and Weeb. My name is Davie. This has been my friend Esau. If you like the podcast, subscribe if you're on YouTube, or rate us 5 stars if you're on streaming platforms. It really helps us out a lot. If you like Toradora,
buy Toradora.
Buy Toradora. If you like it already and you have any suggestions for anything just like it, leave a comment below or tell us what you like about Toradora without spoiling things for anyone in the comments. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.